pretty freaking cool to be able to pull it up on your phone, or you can attach your, your laptop, your phone to your TV and play it over that. That's actually what I'm going to be doing in between my 2 rounds of the 21 Day Fix Extreme next week. So you'll be seeing a lot of posts of that from me. So you want to take advantage of that as well. And you want to start talking about 21 Day Fix Extreme if you have not already, because it's released on Monday. So you want to start talking to people, even if you're a brand new coach, start talking about it right now, because this is something that you do not want to miss out on. Current challenge pack promotions. We already know that Insanity Max 30 is still on sale, and Insanity Max 30 Fix Start, 21 Day Fix, 21 Day Fix in Espanol, and the 3-day refresh in Shakeology. I know lots of you were asking me about a 3-day refresh challenge pack. Well, there you go. You can get it for $140. It can be a part of our February 6th 3-day refresh team group for coaches and customers. So anyone in the entire downline can be a part of it for the 3 days. So make sure that you are taking advantage of that. February promotions, get yourself set up, because it's going to be a big 21 Day Fix Extreme month. 21 Day Fix Extreme is on sale, as well as just the regular 21 Day Fix for $140. And then both are paired with a 3-day refresh for $180. And make sure that you are promoting for our Coach Sneak Peek group that is for the entire downline, any of the people that you're talking to about coaching. It's a 5-day group. I'll be running it, but you'll be in there as well, talking with your customers and, really making sure that they're getting a good experience in there and seeing what our team is about. So make sure that you get people interested right now about that, as well as the 3-day refresh group that is starting on February 6th. You want to make sure that they order by January 31st. And then on February 2nd, start advertising for your next 5-day clean eating group. That's just what I would recommend doing. You can always start one on the 2nd if you want, but I would recommend starting it on the 9th. So now I'm going to hand it over to Scotty. I cannot say enough about Scotty Hobbs. We got to know each other last year in 2013, 2014, and, got to travel to Italy with him and his beautiful wife, Gabby. I mean, they are just, salt of the earth people. I mean, I feel so comfortable around them. Kirk and I got along with them really well. They were actually, we hung out with the same people in Italy when we went into our little tour groups, and it was us with Heather Foltz and her husband. And, we just all clicked because we're all very, just mellow, introverted people that, just want to really take in the surroundings and do one-on-one conversations to get to know each other. And so we just really bonded. But Scotty has done an amazing job with his business. He has 22 diamonds in all business centers. That's crazy. That's amazing. And, he's got some of the top coaches. I mean, he's a top coach, and he has several top coaches in his organization. He's $1 million earner. I remember when we were in Italy and, we were talking about it, and I'm like, oh, you're already $1 million earner. That's so awesome. And he's hit Success Club for 45 months in a row, you guys. I always stress the importance of Success Club, and Scotty is a huge, huge example of that. Success Club is what you want to be doing to move your business forward. He's been elite for 3 years. He was elite top 10 in 2014. I got to remember the years. 2013, right? Or was it 14? 13. I always get confused. It's 2013. And then he was in the top 25 for 3 years in a row. Those are huge stats, you guys. And I think from, Scotty is just one of those people that you are going to get so much from this webinar. Make sure you have your pen and paper written down, especially for people who aren't able to get on, because there are going to be so many little nuggets that you can get from him. So Scotty, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Your line is now unmuted.
Okay. I had to wait for the lady to say, your line is unmuted. Hey, it's kind of feedback, so let me make sure I can hear this right. Okay, we're good. Hey, thanks, guys. Megan, thanks for all those it's kind of weird to look at those accolades because I still feel like a brand new coach. You guys are going to have to bear with me today. I had surgery a week from today, so I'm still a little on the pain meds. So you're going to have to deal with me in that aspect. And it kind of is cool. Like I feel kind of blessed that I get to talk to you guys today. about focusing on what you want versus what you don't want, especially having gone through like some broken bones and some surgery in the past week. And some of my goals this year, it's like not what you want to have happen in your life when you have certain goals. But I think it's kind of cool that I get to talk about that today. And that's the kind of the subject that we picked. So hopefully we didn't attract that into my life by Megan and I talking about me talking on this call and then having that happen. So, there's a few things I want to talk about, but I think one of the most important things, you guys may have always heard the story or the saying that facts tell and stories sell, right? Facts tell, stories sell. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about me. Looking at like $1 Million Earner and all these things, it's like, even to me, sometimes I look at it and be like, is that really, like, did we really make that happen over the past 3.5 years? And the reason is because my big dream, the dream that would blow my mind was to have $10,000 extra dollars so that my wife wouldn't have to work anymore. So picture this. I'm a dad. I have, at the time, I have a 4-year-old daughter, a 2-year-old daughter, and I go to work every day at 5:30, and I get home at 5:30. And when I get home, my wife has already dropped my 2 daughters off at the neighbor's house, and they've been there for a couple hours, and I pick them up, and because my wife drops them off and she goes to work, I pick up my daughters, and I do the normal dad thing. I feed them dinner. We wrestle around on the floor a little bit. We play, we ride bikes, whatever, give baths, read stories, say prayers, go to bed, repeat, day in and day out. And, I'm okay. Like we could pay the bills kind of. You've been there where you just paycheck to paycheck. But the thing that was really frustrating to me was that I could never see my wife. Her schedule changed all the time. I worked those 12 to 15 hours a day. I was gone Saturdays. She worked sometimes Saturday morning. She was in the hotel industry, so she worked weekends sometimes. And so I was just confused. I was like, man, it just came to a point, and it wasn't all of a sudden. It was just, I'd show up at work and I'd be like, man, I'm not supposed to be living my life like this. Like, I'm a good person. I work super hard. I'm not mean. I'm not rude. Like, I'm a good guy. Why am I not ever seeing my wife? How come it's like this? And I just had that feeling every day. And I remember, I don't think I've ever shared this part on the team call, but I remember doodling out on a legal pad type thing in my office, in my cubicle, like how to have $1 million by the time by the time I retire. And I'm 33 right now. So at this time I'm 30 years old, 29, 30 years old. And I'm, sitting in my office, how to have $1 million. I did all the math, and I figured out what the top person made at the factory that I worked at. And it was impossible to ever pay off my house and have $1 million by the time I was 30. So my next thing was I'm going to start a business. And so I remember just grinding, figuring out something. I started making signs, metal signs for people. I was always an artist. And I remember my sister's a hairstylist. So I remember there's a guy in my church that, he owns a couple businesses and hotels and 26 gas stations. I was like, dude, Kirk, tell me, what can I do to start a business? What are the things I need to look at? And it just seemed so hard what he said, all the things of getting a loan and the location. And it was just overwhelming to me because I had no business experience. So those are the things that are going through my life previous to becoming a coach. The thoughts of why do I never see my wife? And this, trying to figure out how could I make an income a different way so she doesn't have to work. So at least I could work a business outside of it and my wife wouldn't have to be at the hotel. And just all these things going, over the years, this young 29-year-old guy with 2 little kids, and my wife at the time was pregnant. And what happened is I had a neighbor, and he was actually a member of our church. And we weren't going to the church at the time. Gabby and I hadn't been to church since we'd been married. And he knocks on the door, and he's from the church. But he doesn't say he's from the church. He tricked us. He comes in. He's like, "Hey, I'm new to the neighborhood, and you know what? I heard you're my age. I just wanted to meet some new friends." And he had a plate of brownies. And dude, if you have brownies, I'm sold. I'm in the door. So I was like, "Come on in. Let's eat these brownies." The thing is, the guy was jacked. He's like 6'3", like 220 pounds of solid muscle. And I was a fluffy 5'11", 187 pounds, never had a six pack in my life. And I was just like, dude, this guy's ripped. And I was like, I'll say I was like a man crush in a way. I was just like bromancing. I was like, dude, you are ripped. I was like, what do you do, man? And he told me that he was a football player in college for the special teams at University of Utah. And then he told me that but now he's a football coach for the high school. He does special teams coach, and he works out. He trains the football players in the gym in the morning. And I was like, dude, you need to train me. And he's like, yeah, come on, dude, you're invited. Come to the gym with the high school kids like you and I can train you at the same time. And I was like, awesome. And he said, we meet at 6. And I was like, dang it. I go to work at 5:30. And I was like, do you have any other tips that I could do? And he told me he's got the push diet. And I was like, what's the push diet? And he's like, you push bad food away from your plate. And I was like, okay, I could teach me that. Teach me what's bad, what's good. And I was like, okay, what can I do for workouts? And he told me, he's like, you know what? You could do that P90X thing. That's what he said. You can do that P90X thing. And I was like, okay. And so that conversation ended. He went home later that day. And I went online and I found P90X. I got P90X. I got it. I'm not going to tell you exactly how I got it, but I got P90X and I committed to that thing. Like, I was excited about it. And I wanted to be ripped like that guy that came to my house. I wanted to be fit. I wanted to be healthier. I was lazy. And I did P90X, and I went from 187 pounds to 145, which is very light. Went to 145, and I had abs for the first time in my life. I was taking selfies in the mirror, putting them on Facebook, and nobody was liking them, but I was excited about it. So I got these results, and I was super, super pumped about it. And I went to Facebook, and I was, sharing it, and I was, getting on all these fitness groups on Facebook and just kind of sharing my results and connecting with people that liked fitness. And I got connected with the P90X like page. And that day I decided that I hated Team Beachbody and I hated Team Beachbody coaches. So I've never really said this on a team call, so I'm sharing it with you guys so we can all have a lesson here. I had about 30 coaches message me with copy and pasted things about speaking with their upline and joining their team. And not one single person asked me why I got started with P90X, how I got started, what my story was, or anything. I was like, what are all these guys? This is crazy. And so I immediately, at my job in my little cubicle, got online and searched Beachbody coaches. What is it? And that's where I found my coach, Lindsay Matway, on YouTube. And I watched her video. She had an email. I reached out to her, and I talked and she didn't try to sell me a product. She asked me how I got my results. I would say she added value to me. She asked me why I got started, how I felt, how much weight I lost. And she's made a simple invitation. Would you like to join my team and become a Team Beachbody coach? But it was after she asked me all these questions and found out all these things about me. And I simply told her, no, thank you. We became Facebook friends. And what I did is for the next 8 months, I continued to share my results with people, talk to people, connect with people. I actually made a group called the Staying Fit Family, and I just started helping people without being an official coach. I was just motivating people, getting them running, teaching them what kind of foods to eat, what not to eat, just simple things, adding value to people. And so I'm doing this, and I am falling in friggin' love with helping people. At my job every day, I would walk up the stairs in my cubicle, and my head would be hung down low because I was waiting for that glare from across the room to tell me what I did wrong the day before. And I hated it. And I knew that when I would open my Facebook and my email, I would get these positive things of someone saying, hey, for the last week, I've cut out soda and I feel awesome. And I fell in love with that. Not with selling the product, not with making money, but I fell in love with that. And all this time I knew that I could be a Beachbody coach because Lindsay invited me. She followed up with me as well. I remember she invited me to this, there was we didn't have challenge packs back in 2011. She invited me to sign up. The coach fee was waived. You could just sign up for $0. And she said because I told her I wasn't ready to try Shakeology or anything. I couldn't fit it in my budget. She's like, okay, Scotty, you can get signed up this month. It's free this month. And I'm like, no, thank you. And I still declined her on the $0 free sign up. And thinking back on that, I still wasn't ready. It wasn't my time yet. I was in love with helping these people, like I said, but the timing wasn't quite right for me. So one day, 8 months later, and at this time I'm still trying to sell signs and make a little side business. At the time that I still knew that Beachbody was there for me. I knew that Beachbody was an option, but it wasn't for me. I was still trying to make signs. I was stubborn, I guess you could say. So I'm sitting in my office, and I specifically remember the day. Obviously, the day I signed up on April 11th of 2011. It's 19 days after my third daughter was born. Because remember, my wife was pregnant. 19 days after my third daughter was born. What happens like 3 weeks, 4 weeks after a baby's born? The doctor bills start coming. So I'm getting these bills. We have insurance, but I'm getting these bills for like $1,200. One for like $350. Got one for like $800. And I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, oh, how am I going to pay these bills? Number one, because we're already paycheck to paycheck. Number two, my wife hasn't been at work for 3 weeks, so we're missing her income. And number four, this is not possible. Yeah, I know many of you guys have probably been there before at some point in your life. I'm looking at them, I'm like, I don't know how to pay these bills. My wife's at home with the baby. She's not working. And then I remember looking at my paycheck stub, and I didn't have that big of an income. I worked at my job for 5 years, but every 2 weeks I made $810 after taxes and insurance. No, sorry, $910 after taxes and insurance, a total of $1,820 a month after taxes, insurance, 401k. So remember that, $1,820. And my mortgage payment is $1,548. So imagine that feeling of knowing your mortgage payment is that, and you have $1,800 and a mortgage payment of $1,500, and you have doctor bills. So that really hit me deep inside. I was scared. I was very scared, like more scared than I've probably ever been in my life about being a man and taking care of my family. And so I'm sitting there in my cubicle. It's like the universe aligned for me at this point. Yes, I was at work, and yes, I opened my Facebook account, and I look on Facebook, and there's all of these coaches that I did not like, and they were on a Success Club cruise, and that ticked me off. I was so pissed. I'll be honest, I was pissed. I was mad at life that I had these bills, that I couldn't pay them, and that I was in a cubicle while all these people that were doing the same thing that I was doing, I was just too scared or too stubborn to sign up, were enjoying this cruise, and I was sitting in my cubicle. And so I called Lindsay from work, and I faxed in a coach application, signed up as a coach via fax on that day. And that was how I got started as a coach. And at this time, I want you guys to know I didn't have internet in my house. I had a flip phone. I didn't have internet on my phone. I didn't have internet at my house. I didn't have internet on my phone in my house, and I didn't have a good computer. And my wife's working nights. I got to take care of the kids during the day, and to get that money to sign up, I had to literally sell like the Wii and some Xboxes and a crappy computer on Craigslist to make enough money to buy my Shakeology, my $40, and my Shakeology, which at the time was $89. So I got signed up as a coach. I went to my neighbor's house, and I used his phone, and I sat at his desk, and I had a call with Lindsay, and I said, Lindsay, this is my getting started right. I was like, okay, I just finished 3 hours of the Coach Training Academy over here. Tell me how to make $10,000. I need to make $10,000 in the next year so that my wife doesn't have to work anymore. And guys, I had no idea this was multi-level marketing. I didn't know what network marketing was. She said, Scotty, I can't promise you $10,000, but I promise you that the your income will be a direct reflection of the number of lives that you change. So this guy literally thought he had to sell like 300 P90Xs in a year to make that $10,000. So I gave it all I had. And I said, Lindsay, what do I have to do? Number one, to get that 10,000. Number two, how do I go on that freaking trip that you just got back from? Because I need to go on a free trip. Because you guys are no better than me. I deserve something like that as well. I'm a hard worker. And she said, you've got to hit Success Club 10. She told me you got to hit Success Club 10 every month for 9 months out of the year. And I did the math. It was April 11th. And so I had exactly 9 months to hit Success Club and earn that trip. So I was very reward driven. I wanted to earn that trip for my wife and I because we never saw each other. And number two, I wanted to bring my wife home. And here's the important thing I want you guys to know, because people ask me all the time, how did you become successful with Team Beachbody? When did you really get it? When did you really get started? I got started that day. I made a clear choice that I was going to get there. And I had all these limiting beliefs in my head, like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, Josh Spencer's got this awesome website. So does Wayne Wyatt. Lindsay's seems to be doing awesome. Like, how am I supposed to stand out in the crowd? And literally, guys, it was just a decision and having faith that I would figure my way. Like, if I decided where I was going to go, that I could figure it out as I went. That I had all the tools and resources in front of me. The only thing left to deal with to make that happen was me. Like, put me into the equation. How can I make this work for me? And so I decided that day, and we built this business with that pure belief that I'm going to bring my wife home. And that's the thing that drew me to work so hard every single day. And I did it. You know, I'm a full-time coach now for the past 2.5 years, but I did it. The whole time I did that, I was raising 3 little girls under the age of 4 by myself while my wife was still at work, because we retired ourselves at the same time from our jobs, well, within 2 months of each other. So I did that by myself in the evenings, and I had to make a lot of sacrifices. I had to quit playing softball. I had to quit playing Call of Duty. I had to quit watching TV shows. And I had to spend every extra spare minute that I had listening to personal development so that I could believe this was possible for me, so I could grow into the leader that could have a team that could make me $10,000, and so that I would not quit when it got hard. And the personal development is the only thing that kept me going through that time when it was hard. I was just on a getting started right call with one of my new coaches right before I hopped on this call with you guys. And I said, you know, sometimes I wonder, like, I don't know how. I look back and say, I don't know how I did that. But I know the answer was because I was driven. I knew exactly what I wanted. And I knew that I had to keep my mind strong through the personal development to be able to make it there. And I can tell you guys, I do the same thing today that I did 3.5 years ago. I do the same activities. I do my personal development every single day. I do my workout. I read the personal development, and I teach that to others. I add value to other people. And then I invite people day in and day out. And I think a blessing that I had was just having a self-realization that it took me 8 months to sign up with Lindsay. So I realized that the person that I talk to today is going to take 8 months if they're going to, if they're going to join me. I just have that in my mind. So I don't care about the result today. I care about the activity. I care about making sure that I show up 100% fully present and give my best self every single day. And then I know that 8 months from now, or 9 months, or a year, or 2 years from now, I can harvest that reward or that seed that I planted in the moment in today. And I want you guys to know that your why is going to have to constantly change as you grow this business. Because if I was still driven by bringing my wife home, I would have stopped building this business 2.5 years ago. So it's constantly evolving. As we started to grow the business, I remember a specific moment when I was homesick from my job, and I was sick for 3 days. And I remember standing there, in the living room. My wife was like, "Hey, Keena's going to get home from school. Would you like to go get her from the bus, get out of the house, and maybe you'll start feeling better?" I had the man cold, like serious. And so I remember walking down we live in the back of a cul-de-sac right now. I'm facing the cul-de-sac where I see the bus pull up. And I was walking down there, and I was halfway to the end of the cul-de-sac, and the bus pulled up. And this little 5-year-old girl steps out of the bus, and I literally started crying. Like, it stopped me in my tracks. Tears started coming down my cheeks. And it was like a realization that I was like 8 months into coaching. I was not a full-time coach yet. I still had my job, and it was hard as hell. I'll say it, hard as heck, building this business. And I remember tears came down my cheek because I realized in that moment that, like, not only could, if I worked super hard at this, could I bring my wife home from work, but my vision was expanded that day. I realized that I could see that, I could experience that experience of seeing my children get off the bus every day, not just her, but her little sister and her other little sister, and then her little brother that came along after that I could be present in their lives as a full-time dad and do this from home if I just kept pushing a little bit further. And so that became my new why, that I wanted that for my life and for my daughters. And I know that as a dad of 3 girls, that being a good man and being present in their lives and taking them on dates in the middle of the day and picking them up at school, taking them to their singing classes, that they're going to know what kind of man to choose and to compare to when they are choosing their future spouse. So I know that why, that new why that I developed right there was going to impact my family's life forever. But I wanted not only that for myself, but it was that moment I started realizing that that is what I had. That's the gift I had to give to other people. I wasn't selling them the most healthy powder in the world and the best workouts. I was selling them an opportunity to live their best lives and to make an impact that would leave a legacy in their family on how their families are raised and how their families are together, throughout life. So that became my new why, and it continued to expand from there. And of course, we developed that why, and we now have multiple. I mean, we probably have 30 plus that I know of. Our team is gigantic now. We got like 20. We just passed 20,000 coaches last week in our entire downline. So as far as I know, on my first couple levels of coaches, I know of about 30 full-time coaches that make a very good income with Team Beachbody, that are full-time parents and present with their kids. I see them traveling, and it blows my mind because I didn't ever imagine that in the beginning, but I knew clearly what I wanted, and I didn't know how to get there, but I knew that if I had faith in God and in the process, because you guys have the process, that I could figure it out, and the universe or God would help me along the way, bring the right people into my life, help me make the right connections, help me to be bold and courageous with people that I would normally be afraid to talk to. And I credit that all to just being clear on knowing where I wanted to go. So I know that was a long version of my story, and I know our subject today is focusing on what you want versus what you don't want. And I'm going to hit you on that. But I realize a lot of times, like I said right in the beginning, facts tell, stories sell. I wanted you guys to be very open. So I spent 35 minutes opening you guys up so that you guys could be sold on your own vision and what you're doing with your life. I want you to kind of take that as a takeaway, right? It wasn't even part of my planned thing, but take it away. Like, I'm going to teach you guys something of value that an action step that you can do today. But what you take away from this call, I want you to realize that the majority of this call is the story part. Because the story is what sells. The facts just tell. Like the infomercials, they sell themselves. It tells, the videos and the FAQs give all the facts. That's okay, but that's not going to sell anybody. Your story is what's going to make people join you. Your conviction about what you stand for and where you're going, your confidence and conviction in your vision and where you're going is what's going to make people join you. My first coaches joined me, and they came. I invited them over to my house, and we didn't even know what we're doing. I remember my first coach, I signed them up because they were single moms that were working in restaurants and had their kids as babysitters. The only reason they signed up with me is because I told them I wanted my wife home. They connected with the fact that they wanted to be home raising their own kids. And they're like, how do we do this? I'm like, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out. Beachbody has the best training. We have team trainings. The important thing is we know where we're going, and we're going to figure out the rest. And so that's how we got started. And I remember my coach, we started a fit club, and we made iron-on shirts, and they were like the ugliest things I've ever seen now that I look back. But the important thing is we just started taking action. We didn't care what we looked like. We looked like crap doing it, but we were excited and we had fun. And I remember my coach came to me at Super Saturday, or at Fit Club. And mind you, our Fit Club was us three, and none of our guests came, right? Because that's how it is in the beginning. And she's like, hey, Scotty, are we going to do Super Saturday? And I was like, hey, yes, we're going to do Super Saturday. I'm super excited about it. And I had to go home and go down Google and put, what is Super Saturday? So the important thing to know is you don't have to know everything, guys. You just have to know where you're going and be willing to learn and figure things out as you go. So I want you guys to understand that. Since I just told you my story in detail, like when I tell my whole story, if you come to if you're at my team retreats, that thing is like 4 hours long, because you get to find out about all my insecurities, about how shy I've always been, how self-conscious I am, about my bad self-esteem, about all my failures in my life. You get to hear all that stuff. So just know that I'm that kind of failure as well. I quit college. I dropped out of that. So just know that college dropouts, you have a chance. But what I want to tell you about a story is what I begin to learn with being with my coaches and being with other coaches one-on-one in retreats and at events is that we really don't know how to tell our story. And you don't want to tell a 30-minute story, but you need to learn to perfect and master your story. So, for example, let's say you guys go to Super Saturday and you post a picture of Super Saturday on your Facebook. I want you guys to write this stuff down so you can learn this skill. Let's say you put a picture of Super Saturday on your wall and you're like, hey, I've been super excited about, I've been doing 21-day fix. I lost 5 pounds. I went to my first Super Saturday and I heard these amazing stories, and, you write your heartfelt post or whatever. So the next thing is, what do you do when somebody likes that post, or when somebody writes you and say, hey, I saw that post. What is Super Saturday? Or they write it right on the thread. What is Super Saturday? Or what is 21-day fix? Or what does Beachbody coach mean? You need to be armed with an answer. So your answer is your story. You don't want to sit there with your jaw open and be like, it's P90X and insanity. And what I found with 99% of coaches is that's what happens. And there's no invite that happens. You kind of get stuck like a deer in the headlights. So I want you guys to master your story. Write this down. The best way that I feel that you can do it is first, develop your story. And the way to do that is, number one, how did you hear about Team Beachbody? Write that down. Number two, how has Team Beachbody helped change you? What are your results? How has it changed you? And number three, why are you a coach? Why are you going to continue to do this? Why will you help people? So how did you find out how to help you? Why are you going to help people? And learn to master it. Like, I would seriously write it down and get like a 2-minute or a 1-minute, like, bam, this is who I am as a Beachbody coach. So briefly, I'll just give you a brief one for mine. So let's say I'm at the grocery store, I connect with somebody, and they're like, what have you been up to, Scotty? Someone from school. And I'm like, I'm working over at Idaho Steel Products. I have 3 kids. My wife's working over at the Embassy Suites. Really cool thing, though, is I work at the Idaho Steel Products, but, have you heard about P90X? I did P90X, and I lost a total of 37 pounds. And then the really cool thing is that I found out through my coach and through others, through some friends, that I could become a coach as well. And what that means is that I get to help people with their health and fitness. And what the even cooler thing is, I realized, I do it online. I do it here locally. And the cool thing is that Beachbody pays me 25% just to recommend the product. So what I get to do is I get to help people get results like I got with P90X. And I'm super excited about it because I get to do that in the evenings when my wife's at work. And the thing that's really awesome is that if I help enough people, she doesn't have to work anymore. I'd be super excited to help you, or if you know anybody that needs any help with losing weight, I'd love to connect with you on Facebook so we can keep in touch. Could I add you as a friend on Facebook or get your phone number? Bam, that was like 90 seconds. That was my story back then. That's what I told. So learn learn your story. And so that when somebody asks you, or you run into somebody, or you make an invite, you know how to tell your story effectively and make an invite. So that's the one little thing I wanted to teach you guys today, after me telling you my big story there, is when you can connect with somebody, all these people you're making connection with, you know what to say, bam, to make the next invite. To make the invite that you guys have a what is coaching group. So bam, tell your story, invite to the coaching group. Connect, tell your story, invite to the coaching group. That's all I do, honestly, to be a $1 million earner, ST10 legend, is I do that to at least 5 new people a day, and I've done that consistently over the past 4 years. So I want you guys to know that's how important telling your story is, because you could lose that opportunity if you just stand there with it like a deer with their headlights and your eyes are wide open. So I want you guys to understand that, the importance of learning and telling your story, and then connecting to a tool that your team, I know your team has tons of those. So let's talk about, to end this out, I know we got 15 minutes. I'm one of those hour-long webinar guys, so sorry if you guys do like 30-minute ones. Focusing on what you want versus what you don't want. This is the biggest thing I believe that's going to be key to your success. My coaches, my downline, my team, they all know 100% from day one. I tell them that if you're going to be successful, it's because you decided to. And I want you guys to be honest. I tell my coaches when I sign them up, hey, did you guys get signed up to build this business because you want another boss? And they tell me no, every single one of them. And I say, okay, good, because I don't want to babysit you. That's not my job. I didn't become a Beachbody coach to be a babysitter. I became a Beachbody coach to create freedom to be with my family. And that's what I want to help you do. And so I want you to know that I'm going to be here for you. But, I'm going to be here step by step, new coach training group in the beginning, to help you get on your feet and running, with the goal of having you completely independent from me in 2 months. Because when you become completely independent from me is when you're going to become successful. So my coaches, they know that from the beginning. And I can tell you guys that that's why so many of them have taken ownership, and that we have so many diamonds and elite leaders in this business, is because we have that mindset. And I tell them my job as a leader is not to beg you to get on team calls and to babysit you and walk you through everything. My job is to do the activity every day that if you follow my lead, if you watch what I do and you follow and emulate what I do, but with your own personality, that you'll get the result. So if I want to be a true leader, I have to do the thing that if you do what I do, you will get results. So I have to be running challenge groups just like I was in the very beginning. I have to be recruiting coaches like I want to be that diamond for that first time. Because if you guys do that thing, you're going to become diamonds. You're going to be hitting Success Club. You're going to be advancing to Star Diamond. You're going to be becoming your own leader on your team. So we have that mindset from the beginning on day one. So I let them know that, there's going to be all these struggles. It's going to seem overwhelming in the beginning. But the way that you're going to become successful, and I tell them this stat, I don't know where I got it from, but I tell them that 85% of your success is going to be your enthusiasm, your excitement, and being clear about where you're going. 85%. 15% is going to be all the other stuff, like running the perfect challenge group, running the perfect free clean eating group, training your coaches properly, the best way to hold people accountable, the best way to market yourself, all these things. 15% of your success will be that. And 85% of your success will be that enthusiasm, excitement, and your ability to stay self-motivated and excited about life no matter what's going on, because that is what's inspiring. I'm going to be very vulnerable with you guys right now, because I believe a leader must be vulnerable. I'm a 7-star diamond, right? In my second business center, we're kind of a lopsided. We have 8 diamonds on one side, and we had 0 on the other side. We have 1 on the other side now, so we're going to be a 4-star here shortly. And then my wife, she's a star diamond as well. So, like, I'll just tell you, in the past week, for example, I play in a band. I record music in the studio on Thursday nights, and I love like outdoors and stuff. I'm a snowboarder. So as you can see right here, I have a big, huge scar. Oh, it's mirrored. Big old scar. I landed upside down on my head snowboarding, and I broke my collarbone in 4 places. Sucked really bad. I got plates and screws in to rebuild my collarbone and my shoulder. And So that's one thing that happened this past week. 2 days after that, we had some coaches coming in from Tennessee, and they loved the hot tub. So I went out to add water to the hot tub, and it's Idaho and it's cold, and I blew up the pipe. It was frozen. I blew it up. My wife comes out, and she's like, there's water coming out of the ceiling. And so I flooded my basement. I broke my collarbone. I flooded my basement. I got these coaches coming in the next day that are staying at my house in the basement that's flooded. So I got the renovation team here working on that. I got my coaches coming in, and they're coming in for a ski trip that we planned for over a year. We rented a condo at Big Sky, Montana, and I love snowboarding. And here I am with a broken collarbone, and I can't snowboard with them, and it's been planned for a year. So we got all these things: broken collarbone, guests coming, a flooded house, a trip that we're going on in 2 days. The guests are coming in tomorrow, and we're going snowboarding. I can't go, and they get here. It's Wednesday. I have my surgery. One of my elite coaches takes me to my surgery. So my wife's at home with the kids. I have the surgery. We come home. He drives us up to the resort, right? Thursday morning, I drop rank. I go from 7-star diamond to 5-star diamond, and I lose $2,000 in my business that week, right? It's like, look at all these things going wrong in 1 week. But here's the thing, guys. Nobody knows that I mean, people know I had surgery, but nobody knows I went through that struggle. My Facebook posts, I mean, they're still motivational, inspirational. I share my struggle, but I'm not complaining. I'm sharing how I'm going to overcome that. I'm being positive and focused on what I want versus what's going on with this. Like this shoulder injury, like the minute I heard it crack when I landed on my head, the only thing I thought was summit, because it's the first time I've ever decided to commit to be on stage in a bodybuilding contest. I was going to be in the Body Beast Classic, and I was super pumped, and I have some friends doing it with me, and bam, I break my collarbone. So, that moment I was bummed, but for like 5 seconds, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to recover from this, and I'm going to turn that mess into my message. Right? I'm going to turn that mess into my message. I'm going to use this to inspire people, because I know there's so many people out there that have injuries. They sprain their ankle or they hurt something. I'm going to show them that you can continue to be positive and live a healthy lifestyle, even if you're going through struggles and trials. So I made that choice to turn that mess into a message. I made a choice to focus on what's good versus what the bad things that are going on. And I can tell you guys, I'm warning you guys right now, we're going double 15-star this year. Our business is going to explode like no one's ever seen before. But it's because I'm vulnerable as a leader. I share with them what I'm going through, so they know when they're going through their struggles, they know that they're not alone in that. They know that it's normal to have struggles, and that the way that you make that through is to have a positive mindset about it. My dad taught me that when I was growing up, have a PMA. So if you don't have that mindset right now, make that decision today. Write it down on your board, PMA. I have a positive mental attitude. And my dad taught me that. Like, I'm an outdoorsman and a hunter and fishery. If you get lost in the outdoor, the only way that you're going to survive is if you have a positive mental attitude. Once you let go of that, you start to panic and you do stupid things and you'll die. So I use that in my business. I decide to have a positive mental attitude. And I tell people that, you're going to have struggles. You're going to have things going bad in your life. But your ability to focus on what's going good is what's going to attract more good into your life. I know many of you guys have heard about The Secret. You've heard about the law of attraction. I'll call it God. But if you are focusing on everything bad and complaining, like, hey, why are my coaches going inactive? Or why am I losing? Like, I go into one star qualification and I lose, my diamond loses. Why is this always happening to me? Why don't my coaches get this? Why is this happening? Why do my customers, why are they not, staying to their challenge group? Why is this? If you focus on all those things, guys, I'm going to be truthful with you. You're going to get more of that coming into your life. You're going to have more people quitting on you. You're going to have more negative people coming into your life and into your business. And I will tell you, this business will be super hard if you attract negative people into your business. So I always look at it like this. If my coaches were just like me, would their lives change? And if their lives are changing, I know that their business is going to grow because they're going to attract good things into their life. So I always look at it like that. Like if I have a negative attitude about this, because people emulate their leaders or who they want to be like. So if I take this, if I'm going to be negative about this situation, I realize that all my coaches will be negative. And if all of them are negative, they're going to get more negative things in their life and everything's going to suck for everybody. So I look at myself and say, hey, do I have the right mindset? Do I have the right attitude so that I can attract good things into my life? And I'll call it having faith. You know, if you're not a diamond coach yet, or you've not hit Success Club 5, or maybe you hit Success Club 5 and you want to be a Success Club 10 kind of person, literally the only thing that's holding you guys back is you haven't decided. And number two, if you have decided, you haven't really decided, because in your mind you're still saying these things like, oh my gosh, there's only 5 days left in the month and I don't have enough people. I don't think I can do this. I don't know where I'm going to get the last points from. I don't know if this is possible for me. Maybe I set this goal too big. And you're doing all this negative self-talk. You're focusing on everything that's not going right? Because you're focusing on why you don't have Success Club points, why you don't think you should be able to hit Success Club 5. You know, like I don't have a big enough market. I don't have anybody to talk to. Instagram's not working for me. This is not working for me. And you're wasting all that energy complaining about things and attracting more bad things into your life, when if all you did was turn the switch from complaining into using that energy to focus on what you want. Because once you focus that energy on what you want, that's when those things will start to come. And until you make that switch, you're gonna continue to get the negative things and things that you don't want. There's literally, I have testimony after testimony of times. You guys may have heard of Brigitte Linford, right? She's a 15-star diamond. I think she ended last year at number 16 in the company. She earned the leadership award. We're in a small town of 50,000 people. Brigitte, I'm her sponsor coach. She started a year after I started. I'll tell you how she started, guys. I was like struggling with my business. Going into the 1 year, I was hitting Success Club, but I was struggling to hit Success Club 10 every month, and that was my goal. And I remember specifically, I had about 2 days left in the month, and I remember sitting at work, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know where the heck I'm going to find these last 2 Success Club points, because I decided I'm never going to miss Success Club. Like, I've been working every day. I've been staying up 3-4 hours a night working on this. Why are they not there? I'm going through my contact list, reconnecting with people. But I had that little doubt, like, why is this not happening for me? What's going on? What's wrong with me? Why am I not finding these people right now? And then it took me like 5 minutes to snap out of it, because that's not normal for me. I really just remember calming my mind and saying, you know what? That's why I don't have my last points, because I'm focused. I'm worried on what I'm doing wrong, or trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong, when all I need to do is focus my energy towards attracting that person into my life. And once I did that, I didn't know how it was going to be, if I was going to meet somebody at the grocery store, if it was going to be one of my coworkers that I connected with. But I literally remember changing my mindset. And the next day at lunch, I go out into my car to do some GSRs, and I opened my Facebook, and I had a message from Brigitte that said, hey, I've been following you for 3 months. You don't know who I am. This is you might think this is kind of creepy, but I've been watching your Facebook for a while now. And I actually ordered P90X and Shakeology. I've lost 30 pounds. My husband lost some weight. And I've watched what you're doing, and I know that I can do it too. Can you tell me how to get started? And I signed her up as a coach that day, and that was my Success Club 10. I had no idea where it was going to come from. But it was literally changing my mind. I attracted that into my life. I'll 100% say that's what happened. So I've always have that mindset in my life and in my business, in focusing on what I want versus what's not happening. And I want you guys to take that in your life as well. Like, if you want to be a diamond coach, but you're focusing on all the reasons you can't, your network's not big enough, you have coaches going inactive, you're going to continue to you're going to waste your energy focusing on and complaining on that, and you're going to get more of that coming into your life. Once you change your mindset to, this is where I'm going, this is why I'm doing it, I'm going to attract amazing people into my life, and then ask God and ask the universe or whatever it is you believe in for the help, they'll make up for the difference. Your job is just to show up excited and passionate about it. One other small testimony on that to end it out, because I know we're at an hour, is many people think that I was a rock star, Star Diamond coach right out of the gate. Like, yes, I've hit Success Club 10 every month since I started. That's a true fact. I worked my butt off to make that happen. Got very uncomfortable because I was shy. I'm not good with people. I'm still kind of awkward with people. That's what, Megan and I get together because we're both quiet. I don't have to have that much conversation. So we're okay just saying a few things to each other and having those small conversations. I don't have to be in big, long, deep ones because I'm not good at that. So thinking about that, I want you guys to know, like, sometimes nowadays you see coaches go on Star Diamond in 6 months, or I've seen 5 Star Diamonds on our team in a year. Coaches go elite in their first year. I want you guys to know that wasn't me, guys. Like, I got my first Diamond coach at my almost 14th month in the business. And I will tell you guys why. Because I literally used to sit at my desk full of passion, and I got my notebook, my follow-up list, full of belief and vision of where I was going. I knew where I was going. I knew I would hit Success Club 10. And I knew all these things. Like, I was speaking them to myself. I was doing the work, attracting those things in my life. But I found out, I didn't realize that I was speaking negative and attracting some negative things into my life. I was speaking bad about my coaches to myself in my first year as a coach. I remember sitting here, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is wrong with these freaking coaches? That's how I spoke to myself. I want to be honest with you guys. It's like, why cannot anybody just sit down and work their business 2 to 3 hours a day that says they're serious? Why are they not doing this? Why are they getting distracted? Why can't they just meet new people? Why can't they stay consistent on Facebook? Why won't they freaking get on the team calls? In all this time, right? I'm like, I'm a top coach. I'm going to bring my wife home. I'm going to do this. I was designed for this. This is my vehicle. I'm going to make this happen. All these positive affirmations about me. This is where I'm going. But in my mind, I'm like speaking negatively about my coaches. And I realized that after reading a book. I don't remember which book it is. Sorry. But I remember reading a leadership book, one of John C. Maxwell's. And literally within 2 months of changing my mindset and speaking positive things about my coaches, they started to take action. They started to grow. They started to learn. They started taking the steps. And those few coaches decided to make it, started following in my footsteps. And I'll tell you guys, it literally, honestly didn't happen until I changed my mindset, until I changed the way that I thought about them in my head as I was working on my goals and on my business. And, it could be the way that even though I didn't say those things out loud, the way that I interacted with them on the phone, or the way that my posts were in the team page, maybe they could feel that I really didn't care about them or that I didn't believe in them. But it was really that one thing on changing my focus on, yes, they were not doing the things that I knew they needed to do. So they were not focusing on what was going, like, I was not focusing on what was going bad. Like, that came out wrong. I was focusing on everything bad they were doing, all the negative things that they weren't doing. And I wasn't focusing on their potential and what they could do. And once I changed that and said, hey, you know what? Jennifer's really got this. She's really got what it takes. I believe in her. And like writing their names on my board, like writing out my 5-star diamond goal, I like wrote their names down. Jennifer Greenberg is diamond on April. I'd write the date out. And once I changed that mindset and stopped focusing on everything that they weren't doing and focusing on what their potential was and what they could do, everything started to change for me in my life. And I've always tried to keep that in front of me. So my challenge to you guys today is I want you guys to learn to master your story so that you can connect with people. Don't only learn to master your story, but learn the story of your fellow coaches so that you can connect people with other stories. And as you learn to master that story, be fearless in sharing that and connecting with people. And then number 2, if things aren't going the way you want them to right now, make the decision that you're going to focus on what you want versus what you don't want. Because when you do that, guys, the smallest things will start to happen in your life and start to shift, and the universe will start conspiring to help you. I can remember complaining about my arm, and once I made the decision, I'm not going to focus on what I can't do. I started focusing on what I could do, and I'm like, had aha moments like, oh my gosh, I could just go to the gym, get a 3-month membership, and I can work on the stair machine. I can use the leg press that doesn't require any upper body, and I can still build my legs, which is a weak part of me. So I wasn't even open to thinking about that when I was just focused first on like, oh my gosh, I can't be on stage. How am I going to prove the products work? So it's so important that, I didn't have that idea to go get that gym membership until I just changed my focus and focused on what I wanted versus what I didn't want. And the same thing applied to my business, guys, to becoming a $1 million earner, to paying off my house. Literally, people want to know how we got in the top 10. And I say, hey, you know what? I don't really know. But I decided on January 1st that I was going to be there. I told my team that I believed that they had everything it took for us to be a top 10 team. And every day I woke up and I said, I am a top 10 coach. I am going to enjoy Italy, and it's going to be on our anniversary, and I'm going to give my wife the anniversary that the honeymoon we didn't really have, and I was already there in my mind. So I focused every day. If a coach quit, if this or that happened, I focused on where I was going, what I wanted, the end goal, and then everything else aligned as I went. I was able to put together everything and work with the right coaches to make that goal happen. So I want to challenge you guys to focus this year on what you want. Don't focus on what you want last year. And if you want a good analogy, a good visual, think about, I want you to close your eyes right now. Grab onto your steering wheel in your vehicle. Oh, heck, if we're going to dream big, picture your dream vehicle, right? Grab onto the steering wheel, close your eyes. Imagine you're driving this vehicle right now. 2014 is in the past. Look up into your rearview mirror right now. That's 2014. How small is that rearview mirror compared to the front windshield? That rearview mirror is very small. It's important that it's there because you need to know what was behind you so that you can know what you can change and adjust. But you're going to crash if you continue looking in that rearview mirror. You're going to crash that dream vehicle. You're going to crash that vehicle you're on. So if you want to arrive at your destination this year, you need to be focused on the windshield and on what's in front of you. And that, guys, that's why the windshield is so much bigger than the rearview mirror. And the same thing goes with 2015 for you guys. That windshield is your 2015, what's ahead of you. Stay focused on that. Look back from time to time to see what you can change and adjust in your rearview mirror so you can see where you came from and celebrate the small successes that you had, the small changes you've had, what you've gone through, but stay focused on that front windshield because, guys, that's where you're going. So let's have an amazing 2015, guys. I'm excited to see you guys kill it this year. I want to see you guys achieve your goals. So thanks, Megan.
Scotty, you're so amazing. I'm pumped up, and I wrote all these notes down. I hope everyone else is just as pumped up as I am. And I was able to record some of it through Zoom. And Scotty, actually, I was thinking about you when you recorded the Zoom chat with Autumn. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try that and see that. So thank you for that.
I got the whole thing on my Zoom as well.
What'd you say?
I got the entire thing on my Zoom as well. When I heard you say it didn't work, I put my Zoom up and recorded it too.
Can you guys even see how amazing he is? You have such a big heart, and you're so genuine and real, and thank you so much for giving us all of that. I definitely learned more about your story even just from hearing this. So that's, amazing. And we are all rooting you on over the next couple months. I know the healing is going to be tough, and you can always lean on me because I totally get it. But I know you're going to crush 2015. It's not even going to be an obstacle for you at all. So thank you so much, guys. Make sure you reach out to Scotty and let him know how this call meant to you. Tell Gabby I said hi and give her hugs for me. And have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, Scotty.
Okay, thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right, bye, guys.